He ruled the largest empire on Earth. He had unified an entire civilization, built the first Great Wall, and left an army of clay soldiers standing guard underground to protect him in the next life. And yet the first emperor of China spent his final years consumed by a single obsession. He was terrified of dying, and he was convinced that somewhere out there was a way to live forever. So in the year 219 BCE, he tried something no amount of gold had managed. He handed a court alchemist a fleet, crewed it with thousands of young men and women, pointed it at the open sea, and sent them to bring back the one substance said to grant eternal life. They sailed east, toward islands that were supposed to hold the elixir. They never came back. The emperor died anyway, at 49. And many historians suspect the mercury potions his own physicians fed him instead are what actually killed him. Here is the part that has been quietly overlooked for 2,000 years. The thing he was chasing was not a myth. It was real. It grew on damp, rotting wood in the mountain forests, and the Chinese had already given it a name that meant roughly spirit plant. Today, that same organism grows on a dead log behind an ordinary American house. It has been through thousands of published studies and a review by one of the most respected names in modern medicine. So why, after all of that, will your doctor still not say its name? Welcome to Nature's Lost Vault. This story does not start with an emperor's fleet. It starts with a book and a name. The name, in Chinese, is Lingzhi. In Japan, the same characters are read as Reishi, and that is the name most of us know it by now. Translators have reached for phrases like spirit plant, divine mushroom, and herb of spiritual potency, because there is no clean English word for what the old texts believed this thing was. The book is older than almost any medical writing that survives. It is called the Divine Farmer's Materia Medica, attributed to Shennong, the mythical father of Chinese herbalism, and set down around the 2nd century. That book sorts hundreds of natural medicines into grades, and it places Reishi in the very top one. Superior, safe to take every day, believed to calm the spirit, strengthen vital energy, and lengthen life. To put that in perspective, when later scholars ranked the great tonics, this quiet shelf fungus was placed above ginseng. Above ginseng. Centuries later, the physician Li Shizhen described 6 different colors of it in his landmark Herbal, the Compendium of Materia Medica, tying each color to a different organ, and he warned that the real thing was almost impossible to find. He was not exaggerating, and that scarcity is the next part of the story, because it explains how a mushroom became a symbol of power itself. In the wild, Reishi is genuinely rare. By modern estimates, only 2 or 3 trees in every 10,000 will ever host it. In Japan, they had a name for that kind of prize. They called it the phantom mushroom, the one you hunt your whole life and almost never see. So think about who that leaves out. If a substance is that hard to find, and it is believed to extend life itself, it does not go to farmers or soldiers or merchants. It goes to the very, very top. Finding one growing near the palace was treated as a blessing from heaven and reported straight to the emperor. Its shape was carved into the ceremonial scepter the emperors held, an S-curved wand called the Ru-A-Ia, whose head is modeled on this exact mushroom and whose name means roughly as you wish. You can still see that shape today, worked in jade and gold in the Forbidden City. It was woven into imperial silk robes and carved into palace doorways and railings. By the Ming dynasty, its image was everywhere in Chinese art, tucked in beside cranes and deer and pine trees, the old symbols of a long life. For 2,000 years, this was a substance you were essentially born into or shut out of. If you were not royalty, the mushroom of immortality was not for you. That wall held for 20 centuries. Then one stubborn man in Japan knocked it down. His name was Shigeaki Mori, and in the early 1970s, he set out to do what Chinese and Japanese growers had failed at for hundreds of years. He wanted to farm the phantom. The problem was that reishi is fussy. It wants specific wood, specific warmth, specific moisture, and it fruits on its own strange schedule. Mori spent the better part of 15 years on it. He went looking on the old Japanese plum trees where wild red reishi sometimes appears, found a strong strain growing on one of them, and worked out how to grow it reliably on wood, first on sawdust, then on natural logs. Read that timeline again. The substance that emperors sent fleets of children across the ocean to find, the thing that cost more than its weight in gold and was locked away from ordinary people for 2,000 years, became something a person could grow on a log in a backyard shed. For the first time in recorded history, the mushroom of immortality was within reach of anyone. And once you understand that, the next fact lands differently. You do not need a shed in Japan. You may already have the raw material in your own woods. Start with the name itself. Ganoderma comes from Greek and means plainly shiny skin. That is the giveaway. A mature reishi looks like someone poured varnish over it, a glossy, reddish-brown, kidney-shaped shelf that grows straight out of dead and dying wood, usually with a lacquered sheen and a pale growing edge. The classic kind used in Chinese medicine grows on hardwoods, especially old oaks, maples, and elms, on stumps, on fallen logs, and at the base of ailing trees. And here is the detail almost no one in America knows. We have our own. Across the Northeast, the Appalachians, and up into Canada, there is a close cousin called the hemlock reishi, or the hemlock varnish shelf. It grows on dead and dying eastern hemlock, one of the most common evergreens in those forests, and it was formally described back in 1902 by an American mycologist named William Alfonso Murrell in the Bulletin of the Torrey Botanical Club. In the warmer southeastern states, other native relatives grow on declining hardwoods. In other words, some form of this revered organism has been fruiting on rotting logs across the United States the whole time, while we paid to import the dried version from overseas. You can even skip the hunt and grow your own, the way Mori did, by taking a fresh cut oak log, drilling it, and plugging it with reishi spawn. Give it a shady, damp spot, wait a season or two, and the phantom fruits on your own wood. Now, one honest warning, and it is a strange one. A study out of the University of Florida, led by the mycologist Andrew Lloyd and published in the journal Frontiers in Microbiology, tested commercial reishi products sold in North America. They found that much of what is sold here as the classic species is not that species at all. It is a mix of lookalikes and relatives sold under one famous name. So the thing on the store shelf may not even be the thing on the label, which is one more reason the log in your own woods is worth knowing about. So what is actually inside this mushroom that made half the world chase it? Two families of compounds do most of the work. The first are the polysaccharides, and the important ones are called beta-glucans. These are the immune messengers. In the lab, beta-glucans wake up several parts of the immune system at once: the scavenger cells, the natural killer cells, the alarm cells that decide what the body should respond to. That is the mechanism behind the old idea that reishi does not treat one disease so much as it tunes the whole defense system. In traditional Chinese medicine, it sits in a category of tonics called fuzheng, the deep immune builders, right alongside ginseng and astragalus. The second family are the triterpenes. and reishis are known as ganoderic acids. There are well over 100 of them, and more than 400 active compounds have been catalogued in this one organism. They are also the reason real reishi tastes bitter enough to make your face pull. Sweet reishi is usually a sign you are drinking something else, which brings us back to the promise from the very beginning. Studies. This is where a lot of natural remedies fall apart, so pay attention to this next part, because it is where reishi earns its reputation and where it gets honest. In 2016, the Cochrane organization published a review of reishi for cancer. Cochrane is not a supplement company. It is an independent global network whose systematic reviews are treated as a gold standard in medicine. And this one was led by a researcher at the Menzies Institute for Medical Research at the University of Tasmania. They pulled together 5 controlled human trials, 373 patients in all. Their conclusion was careful, and it is worth repeating in spirit rather than in hype. They found no good evidence that reishi should be used on its own as a first-line cancer treatment. None. But they also found that when it was added alongside standard chemotherapy or radiation, patients tended to respond more favorably, and their immune measures held up better, with the mushroom stimulating the body's own T cells. In the laboratory, reishi's polysaccharides have shown activity against tumor cells and can push damaged cells toward programmed cell death, the body's built-in self-destruct. It was generally well tolerated, with no major toxicity. The honest reading is that this is a supportive player, not a cure, and Cochrane said so plainly. Away from cancer, the picture is similar. A randomized placebo-controlled trial in the Journal of Medicinal Food followed 132 people with chronic exhaustion and nervous fatigue. The group taking a reishi extract reported less fatigue and a better sense of well-being than the group taking a dummy. A separate pilot trial from the 3rd affiliated hospital of Harbin Medical University, published in Evidence-Based Complementary and Alternative Medicine, gave reishi spore powder to 48 breast cancer patients worn down by their treatment. The women on reishi reported less fatigue, better physical well-being, and less anxiety, with no serious side effects. And here is the part that tells you this channel is not selling you anything. Not every study says yes. A rigorous 16-week trial found that reishi did nothing measurable for blood sugar or cholesterol in people with type 2 diabetes. Memorial Sloan Kettering, one of the top cancer hospitals in the world, states plainly that reishi is not a cancer treatment and points out that the products vary widely in what they actually contain. That is the truth of it. Real promise as a supportive tonic and an immune helper, real gaps, and a lot of preliminary work that still needs bigger and better trials. Which finally answers the question we opened with. If this mushroom is that old, that studied, and that safe, why will a normal doctor almost never bring it up? You would think someone in a white coat would mention it. Almost none of them do. And the reason is not a dark conspiracy. It is arithmetic. Reishi is sold as a dietary supplement, not an approved drug, so it is simply not part of the standard toolkit a physician is trained and permitted to hand out. To move it into that toolkit, someone would have to fund the enormous, expensive multi-year trials that turn a promising compound into an approved medicine. And no company can own a mushroom that grows for free on a dead log in your backyard. There is no patent at the end of that road, so there is no one willing to pay for the journey. So the science stays small and scattered, the doctor stays cautious and quiet, and the emperor's elixir sits in the supplement aisle in a plastic bottle. Waiting. Sit with the whole ark for a second. The most powerful man in the ancient world sent a fleet of children across the sea chasing this, and died without it. For 2,000 years it was rarer than gold and kept for kings. And it may be growing right now on a rotting log in the woods behind your house, asking nothing of you except that you finally recognize it. If this changed how you see those woods, stay with the vault and subscribe, so the next story finds you before the world forgets it too. There is a great deal still waiting inside.